Hello, Sonor family. We got Jost Nickel today, and looking forward to hearing about his history with Sonor and his snare drum and all that. Welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to whatever you want to ask me.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward myself, and I really appreciate you being here with us. Um, so, in your professional career, did you use any other brands before Sonor?
Yes, I did. So when I started playing, Yamaha still had a band contest, which was called, I think, Yamaha Band Explosion.
Hmm.
And I was really applying with an instrumental band that I played in back then. And they didn't want any instrumental bands, but they sent me a letter saying that they really loved my playing. So I got involved with Yamaha after that. And I really liked the drums, especially the recording custom. But then, the relationship wasn't that good, and it's always also about the relationship with the people
Hmm.
that work at the companies you endorse as a drummer. So yeah, then there came a shift, and I did a lot of studio gigs where the Yamaha didn't really work well for me. And that's really how I got involved with Sonor because maybe I'm telling too much, but a producer friend of mine, we were at a recording session in Paris, France, and he suggested that we get a Sonor because he loved the sound so much. And I was really happy with the sound, and this was a Sonor highlight, which I really liked.
When did you get the highlight?
Oh, that must have been like roughly 20 years ago, and I didn't get it. It was just a rental kit that we got for that specific session.
Okay.
So it wasn't my kit. It was the company that had the gear had like 20 kits, I think, and I was happy that the producer suggested the Sonar kit because the one I had suggested before that didn't work. So we had to get a different kit to make it sound good, and that was the Sonar highlight.
Gotcha. And so, was it at that point you started seeking an endorsement, or did that come later?
That came later, and actually my experience with Sonar started earlier than that because I was playing in a fusion band where Steve Smith recorded all the drums for the album, and the band kept his Sonar drum kit, and so I got to play his kit at the gigs with the band. So that's really when I started to really like Sonar drums and to really like how they sound and how easy they tune. And so that was the beginning. But then I started seeking an endorsement a few years after that recording session. It was really not until 2006 that I approached Sonar and asked them about possible work relationship, possible endorsements and stuff. Yeah.
Well, did it take a lot of arm twisting to get them to do that, or were they receptive right off the bat, or what?
No, it did take a lot of arm twisting. So back then, the guy who was responsible for the A&R, like we
Mhm.
say, he he was special, not only in a good way, also in a bad way. And so I was talking to him, and he was kind of, nice, but I needed two kids, and he said I can only have one. And so I said, okay, then we can't do it. And then I had a silly idea. My idea was if I was a double bass player with six toms and two bass drums. So I called him, hey, what happened if I was a double bass player with like six toms and two kick drums? And he said, yeah, then this would be your one kit. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. Okay. So I'm officially a double bass player now. I need one bass drum, I need two bass drums, two 12-inch toms, two 14, two 16. And he's like, yeah, okay. And so that's how it started.
Now, was he being naive, or did he know what you were up to, or what?
I don't know. He was a funny guy and also weird in a way. I don't know. Maybe he was also laughing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Just a few weeks after I got this huge kit, which were actually two kits, he left the company, and
Mm.
some other guy I had the pleasure to of working with, who worked for a different company. He joined Sonar, and so I since then I have the best relationship with Sonar. I'm trying not to say sonar because in Germany we say sonor, sonor. Actually, with the sonor, that's how we say it. But when I speak English, I always tend to say sonar. So it's really sonor. Is it a big difference? I don't know. Maybe not.
That's a never-ending conversation right there. That's
Okay. Yeah.
I've said sonar for 39 or almost 40 years, and
Yeah.
I got called out on it in an interview in December. And
Yeah.
and the guy said it's sonar, and so,
Yeah.
which is what I thought it was when I was a kid and saw it,
Yeah.
And we don't even have to go down that rabbit hole. I'm gonna say sonar, and you say whatever you say, and
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody in the comments is gonna say, "Well, you're both wrong."
So the actually only correct way of saying this German word, right, is not use like a sharp S in the beginnings. It's like a soft S, like Z. So it's really Sonor, Sonor. That's really how we say it in Germany. But I'm aware of the fact that nobody else is saying it that way.
Well, I'm glad to have this conversation because I wanted some more confusion in how to do that properly.
Well, if you need confusion, just give me a call. It's no problem.
So that first double bass kit,
Yeah.
what was it?
Yeah, that was a D light. Half of it was a D light, and the other half was an SQ2 in heavy maple. And I chose heavy maple because I really, as I said before, I was really into the highlight series, and they had thick maple shells. And I think the highlight series are a little thicker than the thickest you can get with an SQ2, but I got the thickest SQ2 and I loved it. So two kits, D-Lite and an SQ2.
So how did you compare it? How would you compare the two sonically and all that?
Well, I loved them both. One comparison, which has nothing to do with the sound, was that the D-Lite was a lot lighter in weight, right? So it
Mhm.
was better to um, take it to gigs. So I kept the heavier kit, which was the SQ2 in my studio. And I find it always very hard to compare two drum kits if they are not in the same room.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think you have to have them both in the same room and then try to tune them the same to really make a judgment about the difference or the differences in sound. So it's hard to say. I love them both. I really can't say which one I love more, or I still have the SQ2. So I still have that. Yeah.
Is that still your main studio rig?
Yes. Yeah.
And so what do you
Yeah.
have for touring now?
I also have an SQ2, which is vintage birch. So vintage, I'm sure everybody who follows this channel knows that, but the vintage shells are the very thin shells with reinforcement rings. And I just, I wanted to experiment, so I asked them to get a birch kit. Before I had a beech and also a maple. So I always, I try different things. To me, the shell construction is the most important part and not the wood type.
Mm.
So the way Sonor makes these shells is really the big difference to other companies than the wood. The wood is not as important as the overall construction, I think.
Something I've noted lately when the 150th anniversary sets came out. Have you seen those in person?
Yes, I have.
Those are absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
But a gentleman that's got the old signature and one of the new ones was commenting that the workmanship now is even better than before, which is really hard to fathom because Sonor was so far ahead of
Hmm.
everybody else back in that era, and the fact that they're still managing to up the game, I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. And I saw these. Did you see these heavy bronze snare drums? Do you say bronze or bronzy, or how do you say that?
I say bronze.
Bronze. Okay. So everybody says that, I guess. Bronze. In German, it's bronze. Okay. Yeah. And so I wanted to buy one of these 14 by 8 bronze snare drums, which were sold for like 5,000 euros, which
Mhm.
is a little more than $5,000, I think, or almost equal. But they were sold out after 2 days or so, so I couldn't.
And they wouldn't special make you something that might not be the 150th, but but the same specs.
No, because it's they are because it's a I'm not sure. There might be something coming up, but a lot of endorsees ask them to get one of these snares, buy them, or get a good deal or whatever, and but they didn't have any left when people asked, so they were all sold within 2 days. Yeah.
Doesn't that make you wonder why they didn't make 150 of them?
Yes, it does. And I spoke to some people at Sonor, and for them it's always also a guessing game, right? They don't really know how many people are willing to pay that kind of money for a snare.
Hmm.
And so of course they were like, we should have made more, but then they didn't. It was, it's always a difficult, I guess it's always difficult to make these decisions. And it's better to don't have enough than to have too much, I think, for
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
that makes sense too.
Yeah. So they are happy. They sold all the snares, and I didn't get one, which is okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people missed out on that, and I think that down the road there's going to be a lot of people like me right now. I'm not that
Hmm.
worried that I didn't get one. I'm not a 8 inch deep snare guy,
Yeah.
but in the future, one day I'm going to look back and think that was an opportunity that I missed. I should have jumped on one of those when they first were available.
I don't know if there was any chance for you. I don't know if I didn't have any chance to get one. I don't know where they all went. Yeah, but I spoke to a drummer friend, and he said he wanted to get one just as an investment because he figured they might be worth more in 2 years, and then he would be able to sell it. So I guess not all of these snare drums are going to be played. A few of them are just collector items, I think. I'm not sure, but it's okay. I wanted to get one, I didn't. So anyway, it's
Well,
okay.
well, I think there's two already on German eBay or something that are still unopened and much higher than the original selling price already. So
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't
yeah, I don't
know.
I don't blame
No.
you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
since we're on the subject of snare drums,
Hmm.
how did it work out that you wound up with a signature snare drum?
How did that happen? It was so interesting. So I'm still doing a lot of work in China, especially clinics and master classes. And a few years ago, Sonor had some legal trouble in China regarding their brand because some Chinese company claimed that they were Sonor. And so there was, a lot of back and forth between lawyers, and it's not easy for a German company to get well represented in China. And so we wanted to have something when I do the clinics that we can offer the Chinese customers. And I just suggested a signature snare. It was in a Zoom meeting, and everybody said, "Yes, let's do that." That's how it came about. It was really just a thought, and everybody was liking it. And now I have the honor of having one of these signature snare drums from Sonar. That's great. Yeah, I love it.
So what was the inspiration for the snare itself? Because I know it's 14 plies and a nine
Yeah,
millimeter shell. Now
yeah.
that's a lot more plies than normal.
Going back to the highlight experience, Sonar highlight, I really love thick shells, especially
Mhm.
for snare drums. And they did have, I don't remember the name, but Sonar had like a 13-inch snare drum, which was really ridiculously thick. I don't, it was like one of these artist snares. Do you remember
So
that one?
27 ply. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
familiar.
that one. And I always loved the sound of this, and so I wanted to have a thick shell, and um and I also happened to play a one of a kind snare. I don't remember the name or which one it was exactly, but it also had quite a thick shell, and I really liked that sound. And so that was really the starting point to have a thicker shell than 8 millimeters and a lot of wood and weight so that the sound is really strong and also thick. And so, yeah, that was my idea. And then we started experimenting with it. And also, the hoops were interesting because I have normal steel hoops and not no power hoops, or what are they called? Um,
Well, the
you,
hella hoops are the really heavy die
yeah,
cast.
So I really don't like these too heavy. If they are too heavy, I really like them just be, plain and simple steel because then I think you hear more from the shell and
Mhm.
less from the hoop. And and then the design took the longest. So this two color design, that was something Sonor didn't do before, and they had to experiment how to make this really clean and the edges between the high gloss black and the silver stripe had, they wanted to have sharp edges, and that wasn't easy for them in the beginning, and so that took quite some time.
So the silver sparkle stripe,
Yeah.
what made you want that?
Um, Good question. I'm not sure. I
Hey, a
can't
good
really
answer.
tell. I wanted it to be elegant, and I wanted the main color to be black and also high polished black, like a piano. And I wanted some silver stripe in there. So that was just really, I don't know where that came from. It just was there in my head.
Well, I think it adds a lot of class because you see
Yeah.
black snare drums everywhere, and
Yeah.
seeing silver sparkle snare drums you don't have to look hard to find those either,
No,
but
that's
it
right.
really makes that snare drum unique that way, and I like that.
Yeah, me too. And the most important thing to me is the sound, and I really love the sound, so it works every time.
So did you experiment with different thicknesses and depths before you landed on that, or was it just kind of just try this and it worked?
Yeah, it was that. I was so happy when I played it the first time, so there was no need to make any adjustments to the thickness or the depth.
So you never thought about going with a deeper shell with the 27 ply, that big behemoth?
No,
No?
no. I think 6.25 is deep enough. Also, it's not practical when you want to, when you want to play it if it's so deep.
Hmm.
If the depth is like 8 inches or some, for some people it's just, there's no way to fit it in their drum kit. So I think 6.25 is perfect for me. And also I wanted it to be, you know, I wanted it to be looking good with any color.
Hmm.
So if you buy the snare and the rest of your kit is red, then it looks good still because it's just classic. Yeah.
Sure. So so that's been on the market, what, about 5 years? Is that right?
Yeah, I think it came out the end of 2019, so it's about 5 year or 6 year now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And since that time, have you thought about doing another one or revamping that or anything?
Yeah, there are some plans. So at the moment I asked Sona because I wanted to have a side snare which is kind of the inversion of the snare I play, so just color wise. So I have a 13-inch version of the signature snare at the moment, which is just one. There's just one. That's just the one I use.
Yeah.
And it's just white with a black stripe, all sparkle. It's on my current tour kit, and I love it. And you never know, there might be some limited edition of that coming out. I don't really know.
Don't know. Gotcha.
Yeah, and if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. I'm sorry.
I understand that too. So are you ever doing something and you're like, you know what, let me grab a different snare drum altogether. Do you ever grab something else, an artist bronze or any other metal snares or whatever?
I used to use this 14 by 6 Pro Light brass snare a lot.
I've had
And
two.
yeah, yes. And I still have it. I have many snares, but to be honest, I only use my signature snare.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. And I'm still curious, but I really like it. I really know it very well now, which makes it easier for me to get the sound I'm looking for. But when I go to like a recording session and I'm hired by a producer, then I will definitely bring more than just that snare,
Hmm.
just to be able to offer some variety.
So how often do you get asked to try a different snare? Do they normally just go along with what you like, or do they sometimes ask for something else?
Mm, Most of the time they don't ask for a different snare, they ask for a different sound.
Hmm.
So, but it's always good to, it's not only about. So people they don't only hear with their ears, they also hear with their eyes. And if you can tell them, well, I got this very old snare drum which is from the 70s and it makes this special sound, then they are so much more into it than compared to snare. Hey, here's a snare that I just bought. It's brand new. And so sometimes the story behind the instrument also sells the sound.
Hmm.
Um, so that's why it's good to have a variety of snares. Just to be able to say, hey, this one is really old, or this one is really special because it's so heavy, or this one is really this. And so that's kind of good to have that.
Well, an observation I've made and actually told a particular retailer that does this, but on videos where they're showing different snare drums and the
Mhm.
different tunings and all that, I've always said that, you know what, y'all should let us hear it before we see it. Because as soon as I see what brand it is or whether it's wood or metal,
Yeah.
I've already got a prejudice.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Some brands are just a turnoff to me, and I'm probably
Mhm.
really missing out on some cool stuff just because of the fact that I just don't like that brand for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Because there's like a classical orchestra in Germany, which is one of the ma most famous classical orchestras in the world. And if they audition musicians, they do it. They make them play behind a curtain so that they don't see how old they are, if they are a man or a woman, and they don't want to. They only want to listen to what they hear, and they don't want to see the person who plays. That's kind of the same.
So what else we got going on with Sonar? Anything new and exciting coming up that you can talk about?
There's something new and exciting coming up, which I can't talk about.
Okay.
But I recorded some videos for something which will be released sometime this year. And yes, but I can't really, no, I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Sonar's got a lot going on still. I mean, they've come out with the 150th anniversary stuff, but I get the feeling there's still a lot more in the works we haven't seen yet. So I don't think people need to give up and think, well, this wasn't much of an anniversary year.
No, 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 there's still stuff coming. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I just wanted to say I'm happy you didn't ask me too much about specs of certain series because I'm really a music nerd, but I'm not a gear nerd. So I don't really know too much about the specs of the different series. I know a little bit, but I'm happy about that that you didn't ask me too much about the specs of certain series or instruments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we ever do another interview, I'll probably give you a test then, and if you fail, we won't go through the interview. But
Yeah, I will definitely fail.
well, when I was young, but I had memorized all that stuff. But right now, as big of a sonar nut as I am, I couldn't tell you a lot of the specs on stuff. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
it either sounds good or it doesn't, right?
I agree, and there's other people who worry about specs. We are okay if we just worry about the sound.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah,
I wholeheartedly agree.
yeah.
So, um, as far as you can see from where you're at now, you still have many years left with Sonar. Is
Mhm.
that right? You have any reason at all you'd ever want to do something different?
No, no reason at all. I really like everything about the relationship. So I like the people, and I like the instruments, and I like the way I can communicate with them, with the people, of course, and also the instruments. And so that's a really perfect match, and it's great to be because I'm a German living in Germany, and that's a German company, so that makes it easier for me to talk to them um, compared to a Japanese company
Hmm.
where there's a language barrier and also everything else might be more difficult. So I'm really happy with that.
I find it interesting that with as many Japanese companies as there are,
Yeah.
Sonar still has a strong presence over there. That I always found that pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. That's pretty interesting. And we all know Sonar is quite expensive because they are handmade in Germany, so labor costs are high, but the quality is really high. And I have a giant step double pedal in my studio, which I got with the first SQ2 kit I was talking about, so in back in 2006, so it's nearly 20 years old. And I have never put any work into maintenance of that pedal. I just use it all the time, and it's like brand new. So what I'm trying to say is, if you invest money in a high quality product, I think in the long run, it's really cheaper than buying lots of, lower quality gear, which is cheaper in the first place, but then in the end, you need to buy more, and it doesn't last this long. So that's why I love Sonar. I think people appreciate that. They know the quality is really high.
Hmm. So are you using all Sonor hardware,
Yes, yes.
600 series, or are you using older stuff, or what?
No, mostly 600 series, and I really love the pedals. Especially no, both hi-hat pedals and bass drum pedals. I really love them. I know they're very very expensive, but as I said, the quality is high, so you can play them for 20 years, and you don't even have to put any work into maintenance because it's
Hmm.
just so good. Yeah,
I agree with you. I prefer the 600 series myself of the current stuff.
yeah,
I think it's all nicely done. But if you want a piece of gear that's really going to hang in there, the 600 series, they've still got the solid rivets in there holding the legs and all
yeah,
that together. And that may not seem like a big deal, but once you've opened and closed those things over the years and everything starts to get loose on the other stuff, I'm talking other brands and all that too.
yeah.
There's just nothing like how solidly built the 600 series is.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so moving along, tell us about the new album you're writing.
Yeah, yeah. I released an instrumental album in 2021, which I wrote mostly myself and also produced it and arranged it. And I'm currently in the process of writing the new songs. I already have like half of the album, and this is a very it's a very exhausting process because it's so much work, but I enjoy it very much, and I'm hoping to put it out next year. No, I'm planning to do it, and I will put it out next year, and I hope everybody loves it. It's instrumental, it's funky, it's not too far out, and I am enjoying the process of making it, and also hoping that the process comes to an end because it's so much work, but I can't stop.
Getting back to Sonar for a moment,
Yeah.
um, what led you to? Did you have an artist or somebody other than maybe Steve Smith? Because you mentioned playing on his
Mhm.
drum set. Did other than that part of playing on his drum set, was he an inspiration for you to like Sonar, or was there another artist that kind of got your attention towards that direction?
Not really. Maybe a little bit Benny Greb because I really did like Sona before that, but like in the early 2000s, Benny and we were hanging out a lot and we were also playing together a lot. And he was already playing Sona drums. So I got to play his drum kit a lot. And I really liked how it sounded. So he was also a part of it. But it was mostly the experience of playing the kits myself, of hearing how they sound when I hit them. So that was mostly what got me hooked. And so the Steve Smith kit I got to play was the door opener, I would say, and then playing Benny's kit was also, you know, very important. And the most important thing was the studio session I was telling you about in Paris, where the producer suggested a Sonor kit, and then hearing how it sounds when I played it, and then also hearing how it sounded when we recorded it. That really got me totally hooked. Yeah. And then maybe one thing that really I really appreciated, because when I was telling you about hanging out with Benny a lot, right? And his thing from the beginning was to become a clinician. He wanted to play drum festivals, because his inspiration for that was seeing the Buddy Rich Memorialship concert with Steve Gadd, Dave Weckl, and Vinny Colaiuta. And he told me, when I met him, he told me that he thought this is drumming, this and nothing else. So that was his conception, and when he was very young, like a child. And so Benny was playing at the Montreal Drum Fest, and I thought like, well, that's so cool. He's from Germany, like I am, and he's playing in Canada at the Montreal Drum Fest. And so I spoke to my Sonor guy and said I didn't ask. I said I want to play there, and they said okay. And I called again and say, hey, I want to play there. And then in the end, they finally made it happen. So in 2010, I was doing my first international drum festival, which was the Montreal Drum Camp, and I'm forever grateful for Sonor for giving me that opportunity. So that's another story that really makes me want to play Sonor for all my life.
And you talked earlier about the team and all that. I think they've
Yeah,
got great people in place. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. Yeah. So there were some at some point, I'm not sure, like 3 years ago, maybe, there was a lot of, how do you say? So a lot of people left Sonor also, I think, because of the pandemic and stuff. So at one point, all of the contacts I had at Sonor were gone. There was nobody left I knew. And I was thinking, what can I do now? That's really a weird situation. And like 2 days later, the new head of Sonar sent me an email and asked me for a Zoom call just to make sure that everything's all right and to get to know each other. So that was something also that I really appreciated because they were reaching out in a moment where I was thinking, I don't know anybody at Sonar anymore. That's really strange. So yes, I agree. The new team is really great. It's really good.
That's probably a little unnerving too because of the type of company Sonar's always been and all that. You kind of would
Mm.
worry, I would think that, when you're having such a change out, is the company going to forget themselves, or are they going to forget where they came from,
Hmm.
and not do things on the level they've always done it?
Yeah, but
And
yeah, I was thinking the same, but it didn't happen. The
right,
opposite happened.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty nice when you wind up with new blood, but that's got a respect for what the company's all about and keeps it on track.
yeah.
If or moving forward on the right track.
Yes, yes. I think all the people that started working at Sonar, they really loved the brand and also the history of the
Hmm.
brand. So that's something everybody respects and loves. And I think I also love what Sonar does with the video production they do for a new series, or they give artists the chance to showcase some of their songs. I really love that aspect of Sonar's work also because it it shows how well they work beyond instruments.
Clinics. Do you really enjoy the one-on-one, interaction with folks and all that, or do
Yeah,
you do it because you have to, or what?
no, I don't have to. There's no obligation to do any clinics, so no, I really love it. I really love the way I can play there because it's different from gigs. I can play longer solos, and I can really nerd out about stuff, which I really love doing. And I really love these people that are also drum nerds, and we talk about drumming concepts, about ghost notes, about I don't know, side sticks, rim shots, concepts for fills. I really love talking about this stuff, and so I really enjoy it. Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
festivals?
Do you mean drum festivals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. I love meeting the other drummers, and yeah, it's a little more nerve-wracking than doing clinics because it's more about the playing and less about the interaction, I think. But still, I really love preparing myself for these things, and I really love the challenge of playing, staying true to myself. I really love the fact that you have to work with your nerves and you
Hmm.
have to, kind of control your nervousness and stuff and then still play good. And so I love that challenge.
So when you're interacting with other drummers, do you find that in this day and age, working drummers like yourself, I mean, high
Yeah.
profile guys are all down to earth?
Everybody I met was really nice and down to earth. And everybody was really respectful, and everybody knows it's not easy to sustain a good life as a musician, and everybody appreciates everybody else. So yeah, I think it's great, and And I don't really, of course, I compare myself to other drummers. Sometimes I think, well, they can do this and I can't. Uh, but most of the time, I just try to stay true to myself and just play the way I play.
Hmm.
And then there's no really competition. That's not a real competition because I'm the best at being myself, right? And they are the best at being their selves. So I don't look at it as competition. I really look at it as, my fellow drummers who are also playing gigs, who also have the same struggles and the same enjoy probably similar things. And so, yeah, I like the camaraderie and meeting these people. It's easily to get intimidated by really awesome players.
Hmm.
But I remember playing at a Sonor event, and Chris Coleman was also playing, and Jojo Mayer, and so I was playing in the middle after Chris Coleman, and I've really felt well about it. I really felt very good about it, because I was just trying to be myself and try to play the way I play. And so I think if you approach it that way, and it's not a competition, you don't try to play faster than Chris Coleman, or don't try to play better drum and bass than Jojo Mayer, then you're good, I guess. Yeah.
Chris Coleman, I mean, he's got some power.
Yes. Ah,
I think a lot of his sound comes from the fact he is just so muscular and powerful, So that's we're talking about drum sounds, and you think the quality of the production is as important as the wood itself.
yeah.
But another factor in there too is how you play that dang thing. And
Yes. Yeah. That's all because you were talking about, I think, earlier about snare drums and how they test them and how they should probably cover the snare and just let you hear the sound so that you have a unbiased judgment of what you're hearing. Sometimes I heard people testing my signature snare on a video, and I thought, well, it can't sound good if you hit it the way you hit it. So yes, it's always the way you play an instrument which defines a lot of the sound.
mhm,
It's true with guitars and basses and all acoustic instruments. So not electronic like a keyboard, you can't uh really change the sound with your fingers too much, but on a piano already you can. So acoustic instruments are really sensitive to the player and react differently the way depending on the way you play them. So yeah, I agree. I think your observation is correct. If Chris has a certain sound with a certain head combination, you might not have that sound because you're hitting the instrument differently.
mhm.
So that might not be the best configuration for your sound. Closing thoughts. I hope, I hope the world comes back together and we we are friendly again with each other, regardless of political opinions. That's something I would like. Yeah.